So that's on the survivor side. What about on the people committing the atrocities? What do you make of the Ottomans, what they did to Armenians, or the Nazis, what they did to the Jews, the Slavs, and basically everyone? What do you why do you think people do evil in this world?
Um, I think it's interesting that it's really easy, right? It's really easy. You can almost see it, sense it in yourself um, to justify a little bit of evil, or you see yourself cheer a little bit when the enemy gets knocked back in some way. It's really, in the way, it's just perfectly natural for us to feed that hate and feed that tribalism, in group, out group. We're on this team. Um, and I think that can happen. I think it just happens slowly, like one justification at a time, one step at a time. You hear something and it makes you think then that you are in the right to perform some kind of, you're justified and break a couple eggs to make an omelet type thing. And then, but all of a sudden that takes you down this whole train to where pretty soon you're justifying what's completely unjustifiable.
This is gradual.
Yeah,
This is a gradual process of a little bit at a time.
I think that's why, like, for me, like, having a path of faith is like works as like a mooring, because it can help me shine that light on myself. It's like something else. Because if you're just looking at yourself and looking within yourself for your compass in life, it's really easy to get that thing out of whack. But you kind of need a perspective from which you can step out of yourself and look into yourself and judge yourself accordingly. And am I walking in line with that ideal? And I think without that check, you're subject. It's easy to ignore the fact that you might be able to commit those things, but we live in a pretty easy, comfortable society. Like, what if we pictured yourself in the position of my grandparents, and then all of a sudden you got the upper hand in some kind of a fight? What are you going to do? You definitely picture becoming evil in that situation.
I think one thing faith in God can do is humble you before these kinds of complexities of the world. Mm-hmm. And humility is a way to avoid the slippery slope towards evil, I think. Humility that you don't know who the good guys and the bad guys are.
Mm-hmm.
And you defer that to sort of bigger powers to try to understand that.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of the atrocities were committed by people who are very sure of themselves being good.
Yeah, that's so true.
It is sad that religion is at times used
mm-hmm.
as a way to kind of as yet another tool for justification.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is a sad application of religion.
It really is. It's so inherent and so natural in us to justify ourselves. It's really. I mean, I think it's almost. Just understanding history, read history. It blows my mind that, and I'm super thankful that somehow, and this has been misused so much, but somehow this ideology arose that love your enemies, forgive, forgive those that persecute you, and just on down the line, that something like that rose in the world into a position where we all kind of accept those ideals, I think is really remarkable and worth appreciating. That said, a lot of that gets wrapped up in what you're talking, what is so natural just becomes another instrument for tribalism or another justification for wrong. And so I even myself am self-conscious sometimes talking about matters of faith, because I know when I'm talking about something else other than, everybody than what someone else might think of when they hear me talking about it. So it's interesting.